Hello guys, welcome back again to Vance Empire TV. My name is Governor. So today we are going to go through chapter 11, which talks about devolved governments. Devolved government, last time devolved government ni counties. So counties pia ziko na their own chapter. So here in this chapter we are going to see how they are divided and how they work. So in short, the county governments or the devolved government are subdivided into 7 parts. Yeah, 7 parts. So part 1 talks about objectives and principles of devolved government. Part 2 talks of county government itself. And then part 3 talks of functions and powers of county governments. Then part 4 talks of boundaries of counties. Part 5 talks of relationships between governments. And then part 6 talks of suspension of county government. And then the last part talks of general, in general, the general. So we'll see under general what it means. So let's start, because not that big. I think tuimaliza tu yote mara moja. So straight into part 1. Let's see part 1 what it talks about, the objectives of devolved government. The objectives and the objects of devolution of government are to promote democratic and accountable exercise of power, to foster national unity by recognizing diversity, to give powers of self-governance to the people and enhance the participation of the people in the exercise of the powers of the state and in making decisions affecting them, to recognize the right of communities to manage their own affairs and to further their further their development, to protect and promote the interests and rights of minorities and marginalized communities, to promote social and economic development and the provision of proximate, easily accessible services throughout Kenya, to ensure equitable sharing and national and local resources throughout Kenya, to facilitate the decentralization of state organs, their function and services from capital of Kenya, and to enhance checks and balances and the separation of powers. Yes, let's continue to Article 175. Principles of devolved government. County government established under this constitution shall reflect the following principles. County government shall be based on democratic principles and the separation of powers. County government shall have reliable sources of revenue to enable them to govern and deliver services effectively. And no more than 2/3 of the members of the representative bodies in each county government shall be of the same gender. Straight to part 2, county government. County government shall be government for each county, consisting of a county assembly and a county executive. Every county government shall decentralize its function and the provision of its services to the extent that it is efficient and practicable to do so. Okay, membership of county assembly. The county assembly consists of members elected by the registered voters of the wards, each ward constituting a single member constituency on the same day as general election of members of parliament, being the second Tuesday in August in every 5th year. In niliwaambia before, where we learned about general elections. So even the MCA is the same date, yeah, the second Tuesday in August in every 5th year. The number of special seat members necessary to ensure that no more than 2/3 of the membership of the assembly are of the same gender. The number of members of marginalized groups, including persons with disabilities and the youth, prescribed by any act of parliament, and the Speaker, who is an ex officio member. The members contemplated in Clause 1b and c shall in each case be nominated by political parties in proportion to the seats received in that election in that county by each political party under paragraph A in accordance with Article 90. So hapa vile county assemblies na work is just the same, like the National Assembly, how it works in the nomination of members of the party. Let's go to Article 3. The filling of special seats under Clause 1b shall be determined after declaration of elected members from each ward. The County Assembly is elected for a term of 5 years, just like the National Assembly and the Senate. Article 179, County Executive Committees. The executive authority of the county is vested in and exercised by a county executive committee. The county executive committee consists of the county governor and the deputy county governor and members appointed by the county governor with the approval of the assembly from among persons who are not members of the assembly. Okay, so these are the CEC ama waziri wa county. So vile tu national government ina nominate and then wanaenda national assembly, wanafanyiwa vetting just the same way county government. That is how they work. So governor ana nominate CEC wake ama waziri wake wa county, proposes the name to the county assembly, then the county assembly vets the members, and then if the county assembly approves them, back to the governor, and the governor now appoints them officially to become the CECs. Okay, let's continue. The number of members appointed under Clause 2b shall not exceed 1/3 of the number of members of the county assembly if the assembly has less than 30 members, or 10 if the assembly has 30 or more members. The county governor and the deputy county governor are the chief executive and deputy chief executive of the county, respectively. When the county governor is absent, the deputy county governor shall act as the county governor. Members of the county executive committee are accountable to the county governor of the performance of their functions and exercise of their powers. If a vacancy in the office of the county governor, the members of the county executive committee appointed under Clause 2b cease to hold office. Election of county governor and deputy county governor. The county governor shall be directly elected by the voters registered in the county on the same day as the general election of members of parliament, being the second Tuesday in August in every 50 years. So it is reminding us about elections in this country of ours. Okay. To be eligible for election as a county governor, a person must be eligible for election as a member of the county assembly. Okay. If only one candidate for county governor is nominated, then that candidate shall be declared elected. If 2 or more candidates are nominated, an election shall be held in the county, and the candidate who receives the greatest number of votes shall be declared elected. Each candidate for election as county governor shall nominate a person who is qualified for nomination for election as county governor as a candidate for deputy governor. The Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission shall not conduct a separate election for the deputy governor, but shall declare the candidate nominated by the person who is elected county governor to have been elected as the deputy governor. Okay, a person shall not hold office as a county governor for more than 2 terms, or as the deputy county governor for more than 2 terms. So even in the counties, governors have term limit of 2 terms. So you remember, learned previously that a term has got 5 years. So even the governors are bound to these term limits, just like the president and the deputy president. So it's up to the voters in that county to determine kama governor na deputy governor wake wamefanya kazi ndio warudishwe the second term. If not, wanapigwa teke and then wanachagua governor mwingine na deputy governor mwingine, because hiyo ticket ni moja kama ile ya president and deputy president. So when you elect your governor, you have also elected your deputy governor. Okay, let's continue, guys. For the purpose of clause 7 above, the one I've just read, a person who has assumed the office of county governor shall be deemed to have served a full term, subject only to Article 182(3)(b), removal of a county governor. Okay. Kwa removal of the county governor, let's see, because tumekuwa tukiona magavana sana impeachment zinawafuata left, right and center, with their MCAs. MCAs, the members of county assembly. So let's see, katiba inasemaje about the removal of a county governor. County governor may be removed from office on any of the following grounds: gross violation of this constitution or any other law, where there are serious reasons for believing that the county governor has committed a crime under national or international law, abuse of office or gross misconduct. Kwanza hapo kwa abuse of office and gross misconduct, mostly ndio inatumika sana during impeachments. You've seen this. That one ndio inatumika sana. Physical or mental incapacity to perform the functions of office of county governor. Then Parliament shall enact legislation providing for the procedure of removal of a county governor on any of the grounds specified in clause 1. Let's continue to Article 182. Vacancy in the office of the county governor. The office of the county governor shall become vacant if the holder of the office dies, resigns in writing, addressed to the Speaker of the County Assembly, ceased to be eligible to be elected county governor under Article 180, sub-Article 2, is convicted of an offence punishable by imprisonment for at least 12 months or is removed from office under this constitution. If a vacancy occurs in the office of a county governor, the deputy county governor shall assume office as county governor the remainder of the term of the county governor. Hiyo tumekuwa tukiona county government vile zinawaka. Kama governor amekuwa impeached, for example ile ya Kiambu, hata hapa Nairobi wakati wa Sonko, then Kiambu kule wakati wa Waititu. deputy governor will take over. So this one, it may happen, na tumeona practically how it works. If a person assumes office as county governor under clause 2, the person shall be deemed for the purposes of Article 180, sub-article 7, to have served a full term as county governor if at the date on which the person assumed office more than 2.5 years remain before the date of the next regularly scheduled election under Article 180, sub-article 1, or not to have served a term of office as county governor in any other case. If a vacancy occurs in the office of the county governor and that of deputy county governor, or if the deputy county governor is unable to act, the Speaker of the County Assembly shall act as county governor. Kama to national government, deputy president is no more, then the deputy president takes over. If the deputy president cannot run the national government, then the Speaker of the National Assembly takes over. So the same way, county government here, they work the same way because we use the same constitution. If a vacancy occurs in the circumstances contemplated by clause 4, an election to the office of county governor shall be held within 60 days after the Speaker assumes the office of county governor. A person who assumes the office of the county governor under this article shall, unless otherwise removed from office under this constitution, hold office until the newly elected county governor assumes office following the next election held under Article 180, sub-article 1. Function of the County Executive Committee, that is Article 183. A county executive committee shall implement county legislation, implement within the county national legislation to the extent that the legislation so requires, manage and coordinate the functions of the county administration and its department, and perform any other function conferred on it by this constitution or national legislation. The county executive committee may prepare proposed legislation for consideration by the county assembly. A county executive committee shall provide the county assembly with full and regular reports on matters relating to the county. Urban areas and cities, that's Article 184. National legislation shall provide for the governance and management of urban areas and cities and shall, in particular, establish criteria for classifying areas as urban areas and cities, establish the principle of governance and management of urban areas and cities, and provide for participation by residents in the governance of urban areas and cities. National legislation contemplated in Clause 1 may include mechanisms for identifying different categories of urban areas and cities and for their governance. Article 185. Legislative authority of county assemblies. Okay. The legislative authority of a county is vested in and exercised by its county assembly. The county assembly may make any laws that are necessary for or incidentally to the effective performance of the function and exercise of the powers of the county government under the 4th schedule. The county assembly, while respecting the principle of the separation of powers, may exercise oversight over the county executive committee and any other county executive organs. A county assembly may receive and approve plans and policies for the management and exploitation of the county's resources and the development and management of its infrastructure and institutions. Straight into part 3, functions and powers of county governments. Respective functions and powers of national and county government. Except as otherwise provided by this Constitution, the function and powers of the national government and the county government respectively are set out in the fourth schedule. A function or power that is conferred on more than one level of government is a function or power within the concurrent jurisdiction of each of those levels of government. A function or power not assigned by this Constitution or national legislation to a county is a function or power of the national government. For greater certainty, Parliament may legislate for the Republic on any matter Article 187, transfer of functions and powers between levels of government. The function or power of government as one level may be transferred to a government at the other level by agreement between the governments if the function or power will be more effectively performed or exercised by the receiving government, and the transfer of the functions or power is not prohibited by the legislation under which it is to be performed or exercised. Hapa kwa transfer of power, this one we saw practically during Governor Sonko. Kulikuwa na issues those days during Governor Sonko's term, then kukawa na transfer of power some into the national government wakati Uhuru alikuwa president. So this one tumeiona imehappen. Some functions like kulikuwa na I think education, health zilikuwa transferred back to the national government. Okay, let's continue. If a function or power is transferred from a government at one level to a government at the other level, arrangement shall be put in place to ensure that the resources necessary for the performance of the function or exercise of the power are transferred, and constitutionally responsibility for the performance of the function or exercise of the power shall remain with the government to which it is assigned by the fourth schedule. Part 4. Boundaries of counties. The boundaries of a county may be altered only by a resolution recommended by an independent commission set up for that purpose by Parliament and passed by the National Assembly with the support of at least 2/3 of all the members of the Assembly, and the Senate with the support of at least 2/3 of all of the county delegations. The boundaries of a county may be altered to take into account population density and demographic trends, physical and human infrastructure, historical and cultural ties, the cost of administration, the views of the communities affected, the objects of devolution of government, and geographical features. Okay, so those are the main reasons why county boundaries should be altered. Part 5, a relationship between governments. So between county governments and the national government. So let's see what it talks about. So cooperation between national and county government. Government at either level shall perform its functions and exercise its powers in a manner that respects the functional and institutional integrity of government at the other level and respects the constitutional status and institutions of government at the other level, and in the case of county government within the county level. Assist, support, and consult and as appropriate implement the legislation of the other level of government, and liaise with government at the other level for the purpose of exchanging information, coordinating policies and administration, and enhancing capacity. Government at each level and different governments at the county level shall cooperate in the performance of functions and exercise of powers, and for the purpose may set up joint committees and joint authorities. In any dispute between governments, the government shall make every reasonable effort to settle the dispute, including by means of procedures provided under national legislation. The national legislation shall provide procedures for settling intergovernmental disputes by alternative dispute resolution mechanisms, including negotiation, mediation, and arbitration. Support for county government, that is Article 190. Parliament shall by legislation ensure that county governments have adequate support to enable them to perform their functions. County governments shall operate financial management systems that comply with any requirement prescribed by national legislation. Parliament shall, by legislation, provide for intervention by the national government if a county government is unable to perform its function or does not operate a financial management system that complies with the requirements prescribed by the national legislation. Okay. Legislation under Clause 3 may, in particular, authorize the national government to take appropriate steps to ensure that the county government functions are performed and that it operates a financial management system that complies with the prescribed requirements, and, if necessary, to assume responsibility for the relevant functions. The legislation under Clause 3 shall require notice to be given to a county government of any measures that the national government intends to take. Permit the national government to take only measures that are necessary. Require the national government when it intervenes to take measures that will assist the county government to assume full responsibility for its function, and provide for a process by which the Senate may bring the intervention by the national government to an end. Conflict of laws, that's Article 191. This article applies to conflicts between national and county legislation in respect of matters falling within the concurrent jurisdiction of both levels of government. National legislation prevails over county legislation if the national legislation applies uniformly throughout Kenya and any of the conditions specified in Clause 3 is satisfied, or the national legislation is aimed at preventing unreasonable action by a county that is prejudicial to the economic health or security interests of Kenya or another county, or impedes the implementation of national economic policy. The following are the conditions referred to in Clause 2. The national legislation provides for a matter that cannot be regulated effectively by legislation enacted by the individual counties. The national legislation provides for a matter that to be dealt with effectively requires uniformity across the nation, and the national legislation provides that uniformity by establishing norms and standards or national policies, or the national legislation is necessary for the maintenance of national security, the maintenance of economic unity, the protection of the common market in respect of the mobility of goods, services, capital, and labor, the promotion of economic activities across county boundaries, the promotion of equal opportunity or equal access to government services, or the protection of the environment. County legislation prevails over national legislation if neither of the circumstances contemplated in Clause 2 apply. Okay. In considering an apparent conflict between legislation of different levels of government, a county shall prefer a reasonable interpretation of the legislation that avoids conflict to an alternative interpretation that results in conflict. A decision by a court that a provision of legislation of one level of government prevails over a provision of legislation of another level of government does not invalidate the other provision, but the other provision is inoperative to the extent of the inconsistency. Part 6. Suspension of county governments. So let's see, under suspension of county governments, what happens. The president may suspend a county government in an emergency arising out of internal conflict or war, or in any other exceptional circumstances. So you remember during the wrangles of Meru County, kulikuwa na hii proposal that Meru County iwe suspended, but that one didn't happen anyway. A county government shall not be suspended under Clause 1b unless an independent commission of inquiry has investigated allegations against the county government. The president is satisfied that the allegations are justified and the Senate has authorized the suspension. So kuna procedure pia inafuatwa hapo before the president suspends the county government. Okay. During a suspension under this article, arrangements shall be made for the performance of the functions of a county government in accordance with an act of parliament. The Senate may at any time terminate the suspension. A suspension under this article shall not extend beyond a period of 90 days. On the expiry of the period provided for under Clause 5, elections for the relevant county government shall be held. Okay, let's finish with part 7, which talks of general qualification for election as member of county assembly. Unless disqualified under Clause 2, a person is eligible for election as a member of a county assembly if the person is registered as a voter, satisfies any educational, moral, and ethical requirements prescribed by this constitution or an act of parliament, and is either nominated by a political party or an independent candidate supported by at least 500 registered voters in the ward concerned. A person is disqualified from being elected as a member of county assembly if the person is a state officer or other public officer other than a member of the county assembly, has at any time within the 5 years immediately before the date of election held office as a member of the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, has not been a citizen of Kenya for at least the 10 years immediately preceding the date of election, is of unsound mind, is and discharged bankruptcy. Is serving a sentence of imprisonment of at least 6 months or has been found in accordance with the law to have misused or abused a state office or public office or to have contravened Chapter 6. Yeah, so if you want to know more about Chapter 6, unarudi nyuma from my previous videos, I covered Chapter 6. So unacheki, unaona Chapter 6 ilikuwa inasema kuhusu what, kuhusu nini. A person is not disqualified under Clause 2 unless all possibility of appeal or review of the relevant sentence or decision has been exhausted. Article 194, vacation of office of member of county assembly. The office of a member of county assembly becomes vacant if the member dies. So hapa kwa death ina cut across all the elected seats. It cuts across. If the member dies, if the member is absent from 8 sittings of the assembly without permission, just like the National Assembly or even the Senate, in writing of the Speaker of the Assembly, and is unable to offer satisfactory explanation for the absence. If the member is removed from office under this constitution or legislation enacted under Article 80, if the member resigns in writing addressed to the Speaker of the Assembly, if having been elected to the Assembly as a member of a political party, the member resigns from the party or is deemed to have resigned from a party as determined in accordance with the legislation contemplated in Clause 2, or as an independent candidate, the member joins a political party. At the end of the term of the assembly, or if the member becomes disqualified from election, becomes disqualified for election on grounds specified in Article 193. 193, the above Article 193 sub-Article 2. Parliament shall enact legislation providing for the circumstances under which a member of a political party shall be deemed for the purpose of Clause 1E to have resigned from the party. Article 195, County Assembly power to summon witnesses. The County Assembly or any of its committee has power to summon any person to appear before it for the purpose of giving evidence or providing information. Okay, just like the National Assembly and or even the Senate, also the County Assembly has power to summon witnesses to give information in the County Assembly. For the purpose of Clause 1, an assembly has the same powers as the High Court. 2. Enforce the attendance of witnesses and examining them on oath, affirmation, or otherwise compel the production of documents and issue commission or request to examine witnesses abroad. Article 196. Public participation and County Assembly powers, privileges and immunities. County Assembly shall conduct its business in an open manner and hold its sittings and those of its committees in public and facilitate public participation and involvement in the legislative and other business of the Assembly and its committees. County Assembly may not exclude the public or any media from any sitting unless in exceptional and circumstances the Speaker has determined that there are justifiable reasons for doing so. Parliament shall enact legislation providing for the powers, privileges, and immunities of county assemblies, their committees, and members. Article 197. County Assembly gender balance, and diversity. Not more than 2/3 of the members of any county assembly or county executive committee shall be of the same gender. Parliament shall enact legislation to ensure that the community and cultural diversity of a county is reflected in the county assembly and county executive committee, and prescribe mechanisms to protect minorities within counties. Article 198. County government during transition. While an election is being held to constitute a county assembly, under this chapter, the executive committee of the county as last constituted remains competent to perform administrative function until a new executive committee is constituted after the election. Publication of county legislation. That is Article 199. A county legislation does not take effect unless published in the Gazette. National and county legislation may prescribe additional requirements in respect of the publication of county legislation. Legislation on chapter, that is Article 200. Parliament shall enact legislation providing for all matters necessary or convenient to give effect to this chapter. In particular, provision may be made with respect to the governance of the capital city, other cities and urban areas, the transfer of functions and powers by one level of government to another, including the transfer of legislative powers from the national government to county governments, the manner of election or appointment of persons to and their removal from offices in county government, including the qualifications of voters and candidates, the procedure of assemblies and executive committees, including the chairing and frequency of meetings, quorums and voting, and the suspension of assemblies and executive committees. That comes to the end of chapter 11 that was talking about the devolved units, the devolved government, counties. Hapo tumesoma kuhusu county government, how they work, and how you as the voter elect the county government. So our next chapter will be chapter 12 that talks about public finance. Public finance hizi ni pesa za kitaifa. So we will learn hapa tuone vile zinatumika and how they are distributed across the country. So guys, I thank you for watching up to this end. I urge you guys to subscribe, tell a friend guys, as I say, tell a friend to subscribe to Vance Empire TV. My name is Governor. See you on the next one. Thank you.